Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Travers Mackel. Tonight we continue our Commitment 2019 Hot Seat debates. Up tonight, the race for House District 98. That is a New Orleans-based uptown district. It also includes some other parts of the city. It's currently held by Neil Abramson. He is barred by term limits for seeking re-election. Two people made the runoff. They are both here tonight. They are both Democrats. They are Amy Addabbo Freeman and Kia Sherman. We do start with a brief opening statement, so we go alphabetically. Ms. Freeman, you will begin. You have 1 minute to make an opening statement.
Thank you, Travers. I'm Amy Freeman, and I have lived in District 98 for 2 decades. My husband West and I have raised 4 kids in the district, and I am not a partisan politician. I'm a problem solver, and I am running for this office because I want to help fix things in District 98. I have a long history of bringing people together. I want to help fix drainage in our streets. I want to help bring workforce training to this district and to Louisiana. I want to make sure our families have safe neighborhoods. And I want to lower car insurance rate. We're the second highest in car insurance in the nation, and that's not fair to our families or fair in District 98 or in Louisiana. I'm a civic leader and a businesswoman, and I want to take my real solutions up to Baton Rouge and find common ground, take those skills to the legislature, and help solve problems for District 98 and Louisiana.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Same thing, Ms. Sherman. You have 60 seconds to make an opening statement.
Sure. Hi, Travers. Thank you for having me here today. Again, my name is Kia Sherman. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a civic leader, and I'm also a small business owner and lawyer in District 98. As the true Democrat in this race, I plan to partner with Governor John Bel Edwards once I'm elected, and I want to work on funding for early childhood education for the 0 to 3 age group, which currently receives very little funding, and I want families to be able to afford to go back to work. Second, I would like to work on equal pay legislation. I've been an advocate for this through the years at the legislature as well as the city council. I want to file a bill that would prevent employers from being able to ask about your current salary history. I also think we need to raise our minimum wage. And so I have a plan that will not only help working families have a leg up, but also will help small business owners, minority business owners, and women business owners. And then I also think one of our greatest challenges in the state of Louisiana is our coastal erosion and land loss. And so I am going to be a fierce advocate for funding for our coastal master plan at the state level. And then I'll also partner with our congressional delegation.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to start this question with you. You both touched on it. Infrastructure is a big issue, maybe a problem in District 98, from floods when it rains to sewage and water board issues. In 60 seconds, if elected, what is your plan at the state level to help District 98 with the aging infrastructure and the flooding problems? Once again, 60 seconds. We'll start with you, Ms. Sherman.
So those first 60 seconds went by very quickly, but that is my top priority for the city of New Orleans. We are extremely vulnerable from our coastline and then also the extreme weather that is dumped on our city, and we don't have the infrastructure to be able to pump it out. I want to work at the legislature on other reoccurring revenue streams, as was done last session by Walt Leger, Jimmy Harris, and also Neil Abramson, so that we can bring money back from the state and we can upgrade those pumps and drainage so we'll have more sustainability for generations to come. I'll also work with our congressional delegation. Congressman Cedric Richmond has endorsed me, and I will partner with them to bring more money home from D.C.
All right, Ms. Freeman, same question. I'll repeat it. Infrastructure is a key issue in District 98. People in that district upset with aging pipes and flooding. If elected in 60 seconds, what is your plan to bring state dollars back to District 98 to help with aging infrastructure?
Sure. Our district has really faced this. In Mother's Day, we flooded, and many people flooded again in July. And that was Broadmoor, Audubon, different areas of the city, so it's not just one area. So it is a critical issue, and our mayor has endorsed me for this race because she knows that I can help her lead that charge in Baton Rouge, because we need to do what our delegation did last term, bring the money back to New Orleans, and that has to be through the state legislature. So I'm absolutely committed to working with her and the team of other legislators from New Orleans to bring that money home to the district, because we have ignored this problem for far too long. And with the coast, I'm very active with making sure that's continue to be part of the infrastructure. I was an original member of Women of the Storm, went up to lobby Congress in 2006 to show congressional members what was happening down here, because they didn't really understand the federal disaster that we were living in. So I will continue to work at the local level, at the state level, and bring in legislation to bring money home, both from state and federal, to help District 98 in our state.
All right, we're going to start this question with you. There has been a juvenile justice reform movement here, especially in the city of New Orleans. The city's been plagued by juvenile crime, car break-ins, and thefts. If elected to District 98, how will you work to try to bring state dollars to help with juvenile justice reform, as it is an issue in the city of New Orleans? You have 60 seconds for that question.
Thank you. Senator Morrell has endorsed me for this race. He was one of the first people to endorse me, and he is a criminal justice reform expert. So I've been talking to him a lot about that, and one of the things that people in District 98 specifically worry about is the juvenile problem. So what we need to do is really invest in programs and workforce development for those children, make sure that they're ready to be in the workforce and doing jobs, starting with early childhood education. It's very important that we take money that we have now and invest in that for them now, but also help those kids who don't see other options, who see this as an option of an activity, to make sure that they're ready for the workforce. I'm fully supportive of criminal justice reform. I'm also fully supportive of making sure NOPD can do their jobs properly. I'm a member of the New Orleans Police and Justice Foundation board and have worked with the New Orleans Police Department and the senior leadership because they don't want to see this recurring arrests either. They want to make sure kids are able to do productive things in society. So we'll really be investing in their future by workforce development and early childhood education.
All right, same question, Ms. Sherman. Juvenile justice is an issue in the city of New Orleans. It's a problem in District 98 with car break-ins and thefts. If elected to District 98, how will you help bring state dollars and work on juvenile justice reform to help your district? 60 seconds.
Right. Thank you, Travers. So I think we really need to be looking at the root causes of this issue in the city of New Orleans. And so I think historically we need to examine our education system. I agree with my opponent. I've been a very large advocate for early childhood education funding. I sat on the board of Kingsley House until making this decision to run. And so I think if we invest in our children, every dollar that we put into early childhood education, society receives $7 in return. So that's something I would like to see done. I think we also need to have a more holistic approach to this. And so I think raising our state's minimum wage will allow parents to spend more time at home with their families. And I think that will benefit society as well. And then any state money that we can bring back for recreational purposes, some of these centers for after school where people will have the ability to go there, do their homework, be mentored, and just have some really good structure. I think that would be a really great change for us in New Orleans.
All right, here's a quick question, not really a time frame on this. Who are you backing in the governor's race, John Bel Edwards or Eddie Rispone?
Well, I backed the governor in his first election. I was a donor and a big supporter of his, and I, of course, will be his supporter in this general election.
Same question. Who are you backing in this race, John Bel Edwards or Eddie Rispone?
John Bel Edwards.
All right, let's just jump to this. There's been a lot of chatter online and between you all about campaign contributions and endorsements and who's supporting who. This is a 30-second answer. We'll start with you, Ms. Freeman. Do you support all the campaign contributions that you've taken in and all the endorsements that you've got? If you could explain that, why that's important to this race in 30 seconds.
So, Travers, I'm glad you asked that because my opponent seems to think that I am being bought and sold by people that I'm not being bought and sold by. I'm actually someone who brings people together, and my strength as a problem solver is that I have supporters who are Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. And I'm sort of confused by this attack on me because my opponent has also received Republican donations, including the former head of the Louisiana Republican Party. So it's really confusing to me why this has started because I was hoping this would be a real race about issues and platforms, and it's turned into something different. So my commitment is to work for the people of District 98.
All right, same question. This has been a big topic about endorsements and campaign contributions. If you could, for 30 seconds, talk about this. Do you support all the campaign contributions you've taken in and why that's so important, as well as these endorsements?
Travers, I appreciate you asking that question. In all fairness, I think the voters deserve to know who is funding our campaigns and who wants to see us in Baton Rouge. My opponent has been supported by Eddie Rispone Super PAC. He chaired that PAC from 2012 to 2019 and put $250,000 of his own money into that election, into the PAC, excuse me. They have done 5 mailers for my opponent, spending over $50,000 on her. And so I think it's important for the voters to know that this is who they want to see because they're choosing people who reflect their values when they support my opponent. And if that is the case, I don't know how she could reflect the values of District 98.
I'd like a chance to respond.
Really quickly, we'll give you a quick chance to respond to that.
I don't know Eddie Rispone. I learned about what Lane Grigsby did in the Times-Picayune, and I returned Lane's check as soon as I found out about his political activities. So I returned the money because it was the right thing to do, but I do not know Eddie Rispone.
Okay, well, let's move on. So we do want to get to the issues here, though, too. Let's talk about car insurance. We'll start with this question with you, Ms. Sherman, and then go with you, Ms. Freeman. People pay too much car insurance in the city of New Orleans. A lot of bills died in the legislature. In 30 seconds, if you're elected, what is your plan to try to lower car insurance for people in District 98?
So my understanding is that last session when this bill was brought to address that issue, there was no evidence connecting it to litigation. And so I listened to testimony in one of the committee meetings from a nonpartisan expert from DC, and he pointed to the fact that the insurance companies are actually using some discriminatory criteria in order to assess those rates. And so gender in being a woman, being a widow, having a low income credit score, those sorts of things are taken in consideration even when you have a perfect driving record. So I would prohibit them from being able to do that. And I would lower all of our rates, and it would create more people in the risk pool, and so we'd all benefit from that.
All right, same question, Ms. Freeman. If elected, we pay too much car insurance here in the city of New Orleans. I think we all agree with that. If elected, what would be your plan to try to lower car insurance rates for people in District 98?
So there's several things happening, and obviously there's a discussion about legal reform, but that is just a part of the solution. Another piece of the solution is that we have too many uninsured drivers, which is directly related to the minimum wage and people not being able to make easy decisions about what bills they're going to pay because they don't have enough money in their household income. So we also need to work on distracted driving laws and making sure those are enforced. And we need to fix our infrastructure because the infrastructure is, with people losing tires and flooding and different things that are happening across the state with the roads not being taken care of, that is increasing our car insurance as well.
Look at that, right on time. Here's another 30-second question. We'll start it with you. Do you support sports betting in Louisiana, yes or no? And can you explain your answer in 30 seconds?
So as far as sports betting goes, as long as the money is going to something like early childhood education, I'd be fine with it. So it has to be money that's going into either early childhood education or higher education. I worry about Louisiana and how we put our money together because I'm all for government transparency. So as long as the money is going to something that'll help us build up our education, I'm for it.
All right, 30 seconds as well. Do you support sports betting in Louisiana, yes or no? You have 30 seconds to explain your answer.
Yes, I was very disappointed to see that this bill failed in the legislature last year. This activity is already occurring, and I think that if we can tax it and put fees on it, and that money is going to early childhood education funding, which is only a portion of what we need to fully fund the seats that Louisiana needs to have low-income families be able to go to school as well. I've been fully supporting of it, and once elected, I'll probably file that bill myself, so thank you.
Here's a question, a controversial topic. 30 seconds, we'll start with you. Do you support the abortion legislation that Governor John Bel Edwards signed into law? Yes or no? You have 30 seconds to answer that question. We'll start with you, Ms. Sherman.
No, I don't, and I was very vocal about that. Although I support Governor John Bel Edwards, I was very disappointed that that law made its way through the legislature and was in fact brought by a Democrat in North Louisiana, and also that it was signed into law. And so it was very extreme, the fact that rape and incest was not even exempted. That's even more offensive to the women of Louisiana. And so I've been fighting to get more women elected across the state, and I'm hoping that they do, because I know once we are in the legislature and adequately represented, that those things won't get through. So.
All right, Ms. Freeman, same question. Do you support or are you against the abortion legislation that Governor John Bel Edwards signed into law? You have 30 seconds to explain your answer.
No, I do not support the law, and I think it's especially upsetting to victims of rape and incest, and I would not have voted for that law.
All right, you're both Democrats. We're going to start this question with you. Another 30-second question here. You're both Democrats. It's going to be a Republican House, whoever wins this race. How do you work with Republicans in the House to try to help District 98 as you're going to be grossly outnumbered in the legislature? You have 30 seconds to answer that question.
I've built my career on working across the aisles and working with different people. So I'm actually really proud of the support I have in the district from Democrats, independents, and Republicans. Yes, I'm a Democrat, and I'm proud to be a Democrat, but I know what we need to do is work across the aisles and work with people of the other party to get things done. It's going to be a supermajority. I have a track record of doing this in my neighborhood, bringing people together with the neighborhood organizations I've represented, and also doing this within my businesses and clients. I bring them together, and I'm very good at it. So I'll bring that strength to Baton Rouge.
All right, thank you, Ms. Freeman. Ms. Sherman, same question. You're a Democrat. If elected, how will you work with what could be a supermajority House to bring money and work to District 98?
So I've been endorsed by every New Orleans legislator who is seated and who is going to endorse in this race. And they have let me know that that's because they believe that I will be effective from day one and that I have the ability to reach across the aisle to focus on the issues rather than partisan politics, which I've done in my spare time in serving on the board of Kingsley House, New Orleans, Dress for Success, and many other boards where we're just issue focused and into problem solving. And so I will take that same approach with me to the legislature. I've also traveled around the state for the last few years launching Emerge Louisiana and LaFemme and so I have relationships with legislators of both parties around the state. Thank you.
All right, 30 seconds again. Eddie Rispone, one of his key elements is calling for a constitutional convention. If he is elected, are you for or against the constitutional convention? You have 30 seconds to answer that question.
So many of the New Orleans delegation are concerned about us moving forward with a constitutional convention because there are things that are inherent in our Constitution currently that benefit our city. And so we have some concerns about opening that up to changes. And so I currently, there are things that I think need to be addressed, but I'm currently not in favor of it.
All right, same question, Ms. Freeman. Eddie Rispone is pushing a constitutional convention. If he's elected as governor, we don't know what's going to happen, are you for or against a constitutional convention? You have 30 seconds to explain your answer.
I'm against a constitutional convention. I don't think that it needs to happen. We can amend our Constitution as we have done in the past. I think a constitutional convention will unfortunately take us off track, and we will not be doing the business of the state. And I want to go up to Baton Rouge and represent District 98 and do the business of the state. A constitutional convention will be a diversion we do not need.
All right, last question before we get to closing statements. We're going to give you all each a minute, but in a phrase, really just a word, if you can. We'll start with you, Ms. Freeman. What is the most pressing issue in District 98? And really just a word, if you can, or a phrase.
Flooding, drainage, and streets.
All right, Ms. Freeman, excuse me, Ms. Sherman. Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Ms. Sherman, same thing. In a phrase or a word, what's the most pressing issue, in your opinion, in District 98?
Infrastructure, drainage, and pumps, but also the affordability that these issues are creating for people.
All right, I wish we had more time. We do have more questions to get to, but we also want the voters to hear from you all. We'll start with closing statements. We're going to give you all each 60 seconds. We'll start with you this time. Ms. Sherman, you have 60 seconds to make a closing statement.
Again, I'm Kia Sherman. I'm motivated to run for this seat because I want my daughter Hayden and all the children in Louisiana to have the same opportunities that have allowed me to become the first person in my family to go to college. Again, I'm Kia Sherman. Those things are quality public schools, affordable public universities, and also good paying jobs upon graduation. Kia Sherman, I ask for your vote on November 16th. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Came in under time. I appreciate that. Ms. Freeman, same question. You have, it's not same question, but same topic. You have 60 seconds to make a closing statement.
Thank you to everyone for watching tonight, and thank you, Travers, for having us here. Our city has a lot of problems, and I've lived in this district for over 2 decades, raised 4 kids in this district. We need innovative new solutions in Baton Rouge, and I know that I can bring my business and civic leadership, just like I did at the neighborhood level and at the NOPD level, helping them solve problems. I'm ready to do that for this district. I really care about my neighborhood, our city, and the state of Louisiana. I'll do the same work I've been doing for District 98 when I get to Baton Rouge. I humbly ask for your vote on Saturday, November 16th.
All right, thank you very much. Amy Addado Freeman, Kia Sherman, good job. Congratulations. One of you all will be serving in the state legislature representing New Orleans and District 98. That's all the time we have. I'm Travers Mackle. You can see this entire segment starting Monday morning on WDSU.com and, of course, on all of our social media platforms.